CSU Northridge, right?
Yeah!
Let me begin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, in the name of the one God, the beneficent and merciful. I thank the creator of us all, the revealer of all truths, the father of time, the father of us all, Almighty God, for this wonderful opportunity to stand in front of you all, some of the most brilliant black people that we have in our planet. I thank Almighty God for his divine intervention. Can everybody hear me?
Yes!
If y'all can't hear me, just say, speak up, brothers. Alright, so I thank Almighty God for his divine intervention in the affairs of human beings. At any time we begin to stray from the right course, he has built into us a genetic fail-safe. That genetic fail-safe switch we know as a conscious, but some of us also know that genetic fail-switch as men and women like Jesus. Men and women like Moses, Muhammad, men and women like grandma and grandpa, who are able to guide us back along the right course anytime we begin to deviate. I thank Almighty God that he has built into the human being a natural desire and yearning for freedom and liberation. And out of that yearning for freedom and liberation, our ancestors paved the way with their blood so that we could be here today. I'm honored to be here at CSU Northridge. I've been on campus most of the day. I went to the Freudian sip. It's a little bit weird because when I drink coffee, I don't really think about white men. Not here nor there, right? I'm also had the extreme honor of seeing some of your beautiful black faces on campus smiling. Up until I saw a cotton tree on campus. That was never in my life have I seen cotton on a college campus. And I was a little freaked out for a minute. Because I was like, what in the hell kind of disrespect is at a campus where we don't have the respect for black students that have more than 6% here? And we're going to put a damn cotton tree on campus? Maybe the money they had for that cotton tree should have been used to get more black folks here. You know, I had the honor of looking at all the beautiful black people in this room and on this campus. And that's kind of what I want to start with today. Y'all seen that movie, Dear White People? Yes. So I haven't seen it either. Cool. But I want to say, dear black people, I'm so tired of appealing to people other than ourselves about why our lives are valuable. I'm so tired of telling other people that black lives matter because the first people we need to convince that black lives matter is ourselves. So I want to say, dear black people, black is beautiful. Why is black beautiful? Black is not beautiful merely because your skin tone is black. Black is not beautiful merely because it's a color on the wall. And black is not beautiful merely because you said it. Black is beautiful because it is the origin and the essence out of which all things come. Before a tree sees the light of day, it experiences the darkness underground. Before a baby sees the light of the universe, it must first experience the darkness of its mother's womb. Everything in the universe begins and ends in blackness. So somehow, some kind of way, they got it confused and started telling us that black meant sad and dirty and ugly, when in all actuality, black means life. Black means godly. I'm going to say that one again. Black means godly. You cannot create anything in this universe without going through the portal of blackness. So to everybody that got a problem with blackness, you got to let them know you got a problem with yourself. You know what I'm saying? So dear black people, black is beautiful. Dear black people, when you do not know your history, you cannot know yourself. When you do not know your history, you cannot know yourself. Knowledge of history is knowledge of self, and no history means no self. I'm saying, no history, no self. Well, what is history? History is the study of past events. History is our recollection of what has happened before we got here. In fact, as Dr. Amos Wilson said, history is the center of life itself. History is the center of life itself. What is history? History is the means by which we gain access to past events. History is the essence of being human. I'm going to say that again. History is the essence of being human. History informs of what is in the realm of possibility, and history dictates for us what we can possibly achieve. History is memory, and the people that have no history have no sense of themselves. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote, "History of all of our studies is most qualified to reward our research." History structures our understanding of time. Does anybody know why we have daylight savings time? No history. See, daylight savings time exists because the white man figured out, true story, the white man figured out people will not shop after a certain hour in the day. And since the sun, the amount of sunlight you have changes throughout the year, then we want to have optimum amount of hours for people to shop. Did y'all know that? No. Can you believe they changed the construction of time for black folks? Y'all understand what I'm saying? These guys came in and said, time is not what you said it was. Time is what we said it was. I mean, anybody in geometry? What's the octagon? How many sides does the octagon have? 8. 8 sides. What month is October? 10. Ain't that a little bit odd? You see, history structures time for us. And when we don't understand history, then somebody else can come in and structure the time for us. So we have a day named Monday because the white man used to worship the moon god. You got a day named Thursday because the white man used to worship Thor, the god of thunder. You have a month named June, named after a man named Julius Caesar. You have a month named August with 31 days because Augustus Caesar got into power and said, I want my month to have just as many days as his month. Did you know African people didn't celebrate the New Year in January? Why would you celebrate the New Year when everything is dead? That's backwards and out of context with time. Y'all get my point? History structures time. When you don't have a knowledge of history, you can't really understand the time that you are in. So the African concept of time is unique amongst the peoples of the world. The African concept of time does not have a separation between the past, the present, and the future. It says, I am my past. Because in me is the genetic and cultural memory of all of my ancestors. In me is the ability to change the present moment, and in me is the seed by which our future will be determined. Every time you do something, history is being made. History, brothers and sisters, shapes our reality. But unfortunately, in our world, we don't learn history. In our world, we learn white hallucinations. What's that again? In our world, we don't learn history. In our world, we learn white hallucinations. Some kind of way, somebody told us black folks were stupid. Okay. And I looked at them and I said, that's a really interesting fact. Because when I checked the history books, I found out black people taught y'all how to take baths. Oh! Yeah. When I checked the history books, I learned it was black folks that were guiding Columbus into America because the European was locked inside of Europe for thousands of years. When I learned history, you didn't see no black cavemen, did you? No. No one read that one. Black folks weren't living in no damn cave. We're like the sun, you know what I'm talking about? We got that melanin. You know what I'm saying? But when somebody else tells you that story of history, that story is a hallucination. History. One author said that black people suffer from social amnesia. Social amnesia is, and I quote, is the repression of a people's memory. Social amnesia is the repression of a people's memory. If you ever met somebody else a victim of amnesia, they can't feed themselves, they can't clothe themselves, they can't remember their name, their birthday, they can't remember how to tell time, they can't walk on their own. Why? They have no memory. But what happens when a people are robbed of their memory? You see, a little over 400 years ago, black folks in America were robbed of our names. Some kind of way, black people walk around with last names like white.
Right.
We were robbed of our names. We were robbed of our language. We were robbed of our culture. Robbed of our religion. Robbed of our concept of God. Robbed of our concept of time. Robbed of our folk ways. Robbed of our moral ways. Robbed of access to our ancestry. Robbed of our musical tradition. Robbed of our ability to be ourselves. And by the way that it seems, worst of all, some of us have been robbed of our minds. You know, the white man figured that there were three things they must control about the slave. They must control the slave diet. They must control the slave religion. And they must control the slave mating process. The diet. And so now when we eat today, we think we're eating soul food, but we're really eating slave food. Yeah. I'm sorry, that one hurt, I know. All in my ribs. So after tonight, don't forget that your ancestors didn't come here eating pork. After tonight, don't forget that you are what you eat. Right. You see, thoughts are chemical interactions between the neurons of your brain. And every time you eat, everything that you eat is broken down into a chemical compound. Y'all know that? Yeah. Makes sense? It's called the process of digestion. See? You are what you eat because what you eat determines how you can think. So the slave master understood if we can control their diet, then we can control the realm of thought that the slave could have. Right. Think about that. We have to control the slave's religion. We have to control their concept of God. So yes, I want to ride on with King Jesus, but my Jesus is going to be black. Yeah. I'm going to have an African Jesus. You see what I'm saying? Because as long as our concept of God was somebody other than ourselves, somebody unlike ourselves, how could I actually relate to that God? See, if God and Jesus is white, and I've been here a slave for 400 years with a white slave master, what then does that mean about my condition? I must control the process of me. Dear black people, black is beautiful.
Let them know.
Black is beautiful. No. So when we find the true understanding of our history, we find that it is the most beautiful, unique, and magnanimous history of any people that has ever existed. No shade to nobody else. But black people were the first human beings. I'm going to say that again. No shade to nobody else, but black people were the first human beings. No shade to nobody else, but it was African civilization that brought civilization to the world.
All right now.
No shade to nobody else, but the first written script of any human people was in Africa. Yes. No shade to nobody else, but the first architect came out of Africa. The first engineer came out of Africa. The first mathematician was a black woman.
Hey. Talk about it.
Hello.
Okay now.
Black is beautiful. No shade, just true. Ancient Kemet, which was the original word for Egypt, literally meant black land or land of black people. And their concept of black wasn't that black was merely a skin tone like this, but that black was the divine essence. Y'all not hearing me. Black is innovative. Did you know it was a black man that invented the traffic light? Did you? Did you know it was a black person that invented the cell phone? Did you know it was a black person that invented reading and writing? Did you know it was a black person that created the first university that we have a record of called Timbuktu in that country known as Mali? Did you know black is wealthy? Did you know the wealthiest individual to have ever existed was a black man by the name of Mansa Musa? See, somebody gave us white hallucinations and told us it was history. Somebody told us that our idea of self was wrong. Dear black people, unity is beauty. Unity is
Beauty.
One more time. Unity is
Beauty.
Why is it seen that black people tend to be so daggone disunited?
Right.
Why is it every time we get black folks in a place together, it seems somebody gotta have some beef?
Yeah.
Y'all sound like y'all know something about that. You see, the reason we are so disunited is because the root of our disunity, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, was our lack of love for ourselves. If I can't look in the mirror and know that I am beautiful, know that I have a purpose and treat myself with beauty and purpose, how in the hell can I look at my sister or my brother next to me and expect that I'm going to treat them with beauty and purpose? The root of our disunity is our lack of love for ourselves. Why don't we love ourselves? Well, who are you? Not what is your name. Names change, right, sisters?
Yes.
Not where are you from, because you move around, don't you?
Yes.
Who are you? Who are you deep down inside? Who were you before your parents gave you a name and a religion? Who were you before your parents knew that you were coming into the world? How can we love ourselves if we don't know who we are? And if I don't know who I am, then I have no means of understanding how I relate to the world. So I know black folks don't love ourselves because we don't treat ourselves with love. We deal with our problems with alcohol and weed and abuse and other forms of escapism. I know we don't love ourselves because we don't feed ourselves well. I know we don't love ourselves because we don't really think that our black is beautiful. I know we don't love ourselves because we treat our women so poorly.
Speak on it. Yes.
Right now.
Preach to the song. Talk
You
about
know, any people that does not respect and protect and elevate their woman as a people that have doomed themselves to failure.
Say it right now. Say it again.
I'm sorry, brother. Can you believe that every single war that was ever fought in the history of humanity was fought over land? Every war, right? Why is America in Iraq? Land. Why is America trying to get in Iran? Land. Why is America in Afghanistan? Land. Resources, right? You know what I'm talking about? Well, how is it that they can go to war over a piece of dirt and that dirt has no value unless you mine out from in that dirt the value that lies beneath it? And yet, we won't go to war for the most valuable thing in existence, the black woman. She is to man, the woman is to man as the earth is to civilization. It is the field in which God produces new life. You see? But the woman, that new life and the possibility of life never lies on the surface. Her value is never limited to the form of her lips or the thickness of her hips, see? Or the beauty of her skin. Though all of those things are beautiful, her true beauty lies deep down within. Because deep within, she is a co-creator with God himself. And God has created her for the purpose of human evolution. When you understand your history, you understand there is no liberation without the liberation of both black men and black women. And sisters, you must also understand that that man you see there, that you thought was a ain't shit nigga. That man that you thought was nothing was only made that way by his enemy. And if you really want to get deep about it, if black fathers are absent in the home, who the hell raised him to be that way? Who would raise him to hate the black woman unless there was self-hatred in the black woman herself? Now that's a tough pill to swallow, because the woman shapes the future of civilization. You see? So the condition of a people is not measured by the quality or the standard of the man. It's measured by the quality or the standard of the woman, because she sets the standard for the community's existence. So if the man ain't acting right, sisters, got some work to do. And what it means, see, sisters, I'm going to say this one more. What it means, sister, if you cut the man down every day with your tongue, what will be left for you later? You see, we have to learn to love ourselves. Somebody say, I love myself. I love myself. See, that needs to be our daily affirmation every day in the mirror. I love myself. And because I love myself, I will treat people the way I desire to be treated, because the way that I treat them inevitably will come back to me. So if your relationships are a little bit skewed and off balance, you might want to look at how you're treating yourself.
Okay.
If your relationships are a little bit tumultuous, you might want to look at how you're treating those that are around you. You see, whatever you put out eventually is going to come right back to you. Dear black people, there was a man named Willie Lynch.
Okay.
And this man named Willie Lynch in the year 1712 devised a plan by which he had 11 differences amongst black slaves. And he said that you take these differences and make them bigger. And he started with age, not because age is most important, but because age was the letter A. And he said you take the old and you put them against the young. He said you take the field slave and put them against the house slave. He said you take the male and you pit them against the female. You see? And Willie Lynch said, if you enact these practices, it will produce perpetual slavery for a minimum of 300 years up to 1,000 years. Think about the wickedness of our enemies. You see? Now, the root of his plan was to create division. Put the male against the female, the light skin against the dark skin. Team light skin? I know I'm talking about. Let's not go to your Snapchats. Team light skin, team dark skin, right? This was an old use that the enemy did to make sure that we were divided. And with 11 fundamental differences, they produced 300 years of slavery. Well, how many differences do we have now? I'm an AKA.
Okay.
I'm a DST. I'm an Alpha. I'm an Omega. I'm NOI. I'm Baptist. I'm Methodist. I'm Episcopalian. Y'all know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I rock that red. I'm a Crip. I'm a Blood. I'm from Oakland. I'm from New York. And we allow these differences to define who we are, while that's us defining what the differences mean. Our disunity comes out of lack of love for self. But you cannot love yourself if you do not know yourself.
Okay. Bring it back.
Dear black people, revolution is the solution. That's one going to be hard. Dear black people, revolution is the solution. Now, I'm at CSU Northridge, right?
Yeah.
Now, I wish I had some money, but I don't right now. Does anybody know what this school used to be called? Now, I'm really excited to be here because it is here at CSU Northridge, formerly known as San Fernando Valley State College, that an epicenter of revolutionary activity began to pop up. And let me tell y'all about y'all predecessors in the Black Student Union.
Let's hear it. Talk about it.
Let's talk about BSU.
Let them know.
Number one, and I quote, the ideology of BSU became one of black nationalism because we started it and that was our ideology. If you do not know what black nationalism is, then you do not have a concept of history. And if you do not have a concept of history, then someone else is telling you what it means to be a part of BSU, rather than you knowing for yourself. To be a part of BSU means to have some kind of commitment to black nationalism. And I'm going to come back to that. So let me tell you what these guys did. I really love them. So the BSU CSU, at that time, San Bernardino State Valley College, they did this phenomenal thing, right? They started. And when they started in 1967 and 1920 to 68, they only had 23 black people on campus. How many?
23.
All right. Now, they were pissed. Okay? And they said, this is an intolerable reality. And we, as a vanguard for our people, must fight to get access to education. For as Malcolm X said, education is the passport to the future. For the tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. Okay? So they said, we demand that every year this school must admit at least 500 black students. And then they said, we are going to vet the black students you admit, and you're only admitting the ones that have our political ideology. Y'all didn't hear me. They said, we're going to tell you which black students going to get here. We're not about to have no bougie, highfalutin, black folks come up here with their chest out and walking preppy. If that's any of y'all, no shade. So they said, we want black people here who are going to be willing to contribute to a revolutionary struggle outside the campus when they graduate. So they did this. There was an incident on the football field, where black man figures, athlete figures, right? And the white coach figures decided to put his hands inappropriately on the athlete figures. Seen all this before recently, right? And what they said hell no. And they said, we demand that the coach be fired immediately and the director of athletics be put on probationary status or moved to another part of campus. And then they went and met with the director, right? And they told the director what the demand was. And you know what the director did? He looked at them and said, no. So they said, okay. They had their squad of 30. Don't take that many people. And they walked over to the president's office. Anybody know the story?
Yes.
They walked over to the president's office. And at the president's office, they said, we have a set of demands. And here's what they did. They said, 1, 2, 3, 4, you go lock down the doors. Somebody cut off their electricity. And then they demanded that the president come into the building. Y'all gotta hear me, right? They demanded the president get his old scrawny white behind into the building and have a negotiation with them. And some of the administrators tried to be chesty and they got their chest kicked in, literally. Right? So they took the building hostage with the president in it and made him sign a set of demands for black student support on campus. That was here. I'm not talking about at San Francisco or UC Berkeley or somewhere in Vietnam. No, right here, your predecessors, the founders of your black student union, did that. That's the company you in. So after they did this, they got the demands met, of course. I mean, they weren't talking no that long, right? But here's what I want y'all to know. See, after they did that, then they engaged in a protracted struggle, which produced for what you have now, a Black Studies Department, right? Which produced EOP, which produced black students on campus, which produced black faculty on campus, which produced black high school outreach programs on campus. They put in sacrifice. That's what I want you to know. They gave their blood literally. So some of us say in church, except it be by the blood of who? Jesus. You see, except it had been by the blood of your ancestors, you wouldn't have a seat in this room right now. Except your ancestors took some blood and shed some blood, you wouldn't have a spot at CSU Northridge. So we need to understand, somebody paid a price. Now those men and women, the two leaders were sentenced to 1 to 25 years for kidnapping. And we don't even know their damn names. They paid a price for us. And we have a responsibility to live up to the price that they paid. There were 19 students charged. All of them convicted. They paid a price. Most of them permanently removed from the university. They paid a price. right here at CSU Northridge. That's what happened. And it happened because they believed in black nationalism, or in other words, the belief that no matter what you do in this old wicked, corrupt system, there is no justice coming from it. I'm going to say this. Expecting justice from America, or the white man, or whatever words you want to use, expecting justice in this system is just as wise as expecting Santa Claus to bring you some gifts, or the Easter Bunny to lay you some chicken eggs. When Santa Claus brings you some gift, that'll be the day America gives you some justice. Am I making sense?
Oh yeah.
That's not outlandish enough. And I say it because of this reason. Every year, and all the time, we find ourselves begging them for jobs and justice. Trayvon Martin gets shot. March on. The other day was the 50th anniversary of the March in Selma, right? Did y'all know that bridge? Check this out. Did y'all know that bridge is named after a Ku Klux Klan Grand Wizard? The bridge they just walked across with Obama and everybody is named after a damn KKK leader. And we walking up there smiling as if we've made some damn progress. Changing laws will never do anything for us. We tried changing the law. Is that right? Yeah. Civil Rights Act. Is that right? Yeah. Voting Rights Act. Right? Right. And yet we still get killed every day. Changing laws do not change reality because someone must enforce the law. Right? We tried voting, right? We got the Voting Rights Act. How many people voted for Obama?
High school.
Some of y'all voted for Obama, right? Some of y'all voted for Obama. But guess what? Voting ain't never worked for black people because we end up choosing between the Democrats and the Republican. We end up choosing between Lucifer and Satan, and we catching hell either way it goes. Y'all see what I'm saying? Some of us thought that if we got a good, quote, education, that was going to change the condition of black folks. But somehow, some kind of way, 25% of black people have a college degree, yet the condition of black people in mass has not changed. Some of us thought that if you elect a black person in a position of authority, president, mayor, council member, admissions director, whatever bullshit we convinced ourselves would free us, we thought that would free us. We got a black president, right? Did that stop the bullet that killed Trayvon? No. What about, did that stop the Justice Department from not doing a damn thing about it? No. Did that stop the jury from saying this ain't even worth a trial? No. We have black folks in positions of power, but they have position, not power. Right. My brother Leon Jamal. They have positions, not power. So what am I saying? Dear black people, revolution is the solution. Anybody here straight from the continent? Straight from the continent? Nobody? Where you from? Nigeria? Sierra Leone, okay. Now, read this. I was reading before I came here, and I knew I was going to be real lit because I read it. I read this article before I came here that said the nations, the African nations that were former colonial posts of France, right, are currently, check this out, paying reparations to France for the benefit of colonialism. I'm going to say it one more time. African nations, right, who were conquered by France, and they kicked France out. France now has them paying France for the benefit of oppression. And I was like, damn. Like, what kind of sick, twisted oppression is that? Well, I'm going to oppress you, and you get mad at me and kick me out, and I'm going to charge you for kicking me out. So these African nations in these 14 countries, anytime they have a natural resource, France gets first right to it. Anytime they have money, 65% of their gross domestic product goes straight to France. And if they want to borrow from it, they have to borrow on standard interest rates. The hell is that? You mean to tell me I'll make $100, you take 65, and when I need some more money, I gotta borrow from you on interest? revolution is the solution. And I say that to mean this. You see, black folks, I didn't figure this out a little bit. Our problem is not that we don't know what to do. Our problem is we ain't willing to do it.
Right.
As Malcolm X said, you're scared. Our problem is we know what the hell needs to be done, but we ain't willing to stand up on our feet and do the damn thing. How many of you, if your mom or your dad was slapped by some white police officer, would sit there and watch? Some of y'all would. Some of y'all would. You see, our problem is that we know what the solution was, is, and always will be, and we ain't got the dang courage to do it. So let me close on this point. Revolution is a full and complete change. Any science majors? Astrophysics? Like, no. So, quick science tip. Side note. So a revolution in science is what? When the earth makes one revolution around the sun, you call that what? A year, right? So, revolution is produced by the force of light acting upon the earth and the force of the sun's gravity pulling the earth at the same rate as all the other planets. Am I making sense? Revolution is created by light. In order for us to have any true or meaningful revolution, we must first and foremost, check this out, have a renewal of the way that we think. So they sung, only because they sung gospel, I'm quoting. They sung the song, and in the scripture Paul says, be ye not transformed, be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by a renewal of your mind. We must think differently. Black people are not out resourced, we are out organized. If black people put our money together, we will be the 11th wealthiest nation in the world. But black people don't have our own farmland. But black people don't have our own tractors. Black people don't have our own businesses. Black people don't have our own hospitals, because we are not out resourced, we are out organized. We must change the way that we think. Why do we call ourselves minorities when we outnumber white folks on the planet 11-1? Oh my goodness. That's no doubt. It is a shock. Because we run around acting like we the Johnny-come-latelys. And they was the one that came later and started effing up the world. Right. So last thing I want to say. I know y'all are in school and you're students. You know, the first priority, I was a student too. But let me say this. What the hell is a grade when you don't have your own mind? The hell with your grade if you can't be black up here. I'm going to say that again. To hell with your grade if you ain't black up here. Because all your grade really means is the extent to which you can conform to his world. I'm going to say that one more time. That one hurts. All your grade means is the extent to which you can conform to his world. And his world is set up on your failure. That's why we got black people educated all across the damn United States, and we ain't got no type of freedom. We got black doctors all across the United States. Where the hell is our hospital? We got black engineers all across the United States. Where the hell is our engineering companies? We got black lawyers all across the United States. And where the hell are those that are fighting for us in all these damn police brutality cases? You think what I'm saying? Your grade don't mean nothing if you don't have your own mind. So if we're going to be real about this whole black thing, let's not make it a fad. Let's get up and stand up. And let's go and research and read and study our history, so that when we have a knowledge of our history, we can have a knowledge of ourselves. And in order to do that, let me say this. I got some statistics. 71% of lower division black studies majors here never heard of what happened 40 years ago to give them a department. 51% of upper division students never heard of it. 81% of non-black students never heard of what happened on November 4th, 1968. 67% of all students on campus never heard of November 4th, 1968. Black students. So how the hell can we act like we are going to be working in the trajectory of revolutionary change
How can we act like we're going to be working on behalf of our ancestors and we don't even know what they did? Oh, if you love yourself, brothers and sisters, if you really believe in yourself, if you can look deep down in the sanctum sanctuary of your mind and find that there is a space for the beauty of blackness, then be willing to stand up and make a sacrifice. Be willing to stand up and do something different. Be willing to be innovative like the ancestors who paved the way for us. And let us figure out as a community how we will do something that is meaningful to the world. Life has no purpose if I don't have something worth living for. My time on earth has no meaning if I have no way to use it for my people. So let all of us leave from this day forward. Let us figure out how we will be the best possible black men and women to contribute to our people's revolutionary struggle and freedom. And I'll tell you, brothers and sisters, all that nation over there in France, they got them African nations paying the money right now. See, the God I believe in is the God of justice. God I believe in, when you stand up against your enemy, he will support you. God I believe in, when you go and do something in the name of him and in the name of truth and justice and freedom and equality, every single time, if you really accept what he has offered you, he will be there to your aid. So I want y'all to stand up with me. We're going to say a chant. How y'all feeling? Good. God will all go ahead of us. But we can do it. Alright, so I'm going to start off silently, and as I go along, it's going to get louder and louder. You understand? Yes? Alright. This comes from my great sister revolutionary, Assata Shakur. And Assata Shakur is responsible for many of the landmark wins of the Black Panther Party, the Black Liberation Army, and eventually she was imprisoned under false pretext and context up until our own people broke her out of prison and told this government she will be free, regardless to whom or what and by any means necessary. And she was currently a political exile living happily in the state of Cuba. But anyway, so she said this. It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and protect each other.
We must love and protect each other.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and protect each other.
We must love and protect each
We have
other.
nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
I don't hear y'all. It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and protect each other.
We must love and protect each other.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
Last time. It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and protect each other.
We must